Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we are going to do an updated character guide on 7. 7 just dropped with Force Echo. So in this video we're going to kind of take a look at 7 and really see what her Force Echo can do, and we're going to see how she's looking with the upgrades to her kit. So in this video we're going to look at her artifacts, her spheres, we're going to talk about her calls, and we'll do a showcase and kind of explain her whole kit so that you know how she operates, right? For those of you unfamiliar with 7, she is basically a damage dealer that has a very important trap. She does have like an HP poison effect, but it's better than other HP poisons because it does scale with force time, which is very good. She does have like an attack with 3 elements on it. She always does weakness damage, so a lot of interesting things here. She's never been like a top tier character, but I think she's always been a pretty fun character. So we're going to see how she feels in this video. I'm kind of curious to see how she's going to operate. I did put her on a pretty good team build for the showcase, so we'll see how she's looking. So let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and start with the calls here. So her calls I don't think are anything you should go out of your way to use. We have Elemental Lash. So what's going to happen is 7 revolves heavily around a debuff called Snakebite. So what's going to happen is both of her calls will apply Snakebite. The problem is that Snakebite alone is just a defense down, which isn't very good. Really the best parts about Snakebite come from the effects that 7 gets from having the enemy with Snakebite. And if you're just using 7 as a call, you're not going to really get to take advantage of what that Snakebite can offer, right? So Elemental Lash is a tri-element attack, so it's fire, ice, and thunder. And it will trigger twice if the enemy has Snakebite. So on the call, it should trigger twice because she will apply Snakebite as soon as she enters, right? So that's Elemental Lash, but it's basically just an attack, right? Like, nothing you really need from that. I guess it does do a speed down, so you're getting speed and defense down, but those aren't really, like, very valuable debuffs, right? Then on the LD is going to do Brave damage and Overflow stolen up for the caller, and it's going to apply more Snakebite. But, yeah, nothing you really need there. It's not that great. There's a million other calls you'd rather use over 7, so I don't really recommend pulling her for the calls. So if you're going to pull for her, it's probably because you want her in the party, and it's probably because we're an early FR Echo and you need another FR Echo character, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at 7 herself. So for her artifacts, what you want to go with is you want Attack 108 and then Eyes on Everything boost 2 stars. So you want to get 3 of these if you can. The Eyes on Everything boost, this is kind of a standard C50 passive that a lot of characters have, where basically you get like 5% of all their stats. So anytime a character has that, you definitely want it. And you definitely want Attack for 7, one, because she's a semi-DPS, like she's meant to be more of a damage dealer, but then also her HP Poison, which is called Bondage Whip, that scales off of attack. So having more attack on her is definitely better. That's going to be the main stat you want to focus on, right? Let's go ahead and look at the spheres here. So she's got 2 A slots and a D slot. So you really want to focus on attack and brave damage. I think Rydia is one of the better ones here. Once again, since this is a weakness damage character, Rydia works great. You're going to get brave damage and attack here. I also did do Xande just because it's one that I wouldn't really use a lot, but it's a decent one because it's a weakness damage and you're getting brave damage and max brave, right? So max brave usually alone isn't the greatest, but if you can combo max brave with attack or brave damage, it's a nice little combo, right? Now Xande's definitely isn't a top tier sphere. I definitely could swap it for something else. I could probably put, you know, like another Rydia there if I wanted to. We could do Jack. I think something like a Sephiroth where you're getting attack max brave, that can be very good as well. But I would say if you can put 2, like if you're doing full spheres, if you can get 2 things that are like 10% attack or more, those are probably the best ones to put on there, right? Then on the D slot, once again, just a million of these D slots that give attack to the party. I'm shouting out Luna Freya here because this is another weakness damage trigger, so not every character can do that. It is going to give party attack. So I like Luna Freya there just because it's a weakness trigger, but there's tons of them, right? Like Ash Saz, Lee's Hope, Cisne, those are all pretty good D slots you could use there. So, alright, so with that, let's go ahead and hey, I got my girl pretty decked out here. She's not max, but I did plus the Lufenia armor, so I put a book into it. I did not invest the ingot, so she isn't blue armor, but I did give her... Guys, I went out of my way. I bought the Whip Ultima weapon just for you guys. Just for this showcase, I bought the Whip Ultima weapon. It's a supplement 0, right? I only invested 50 cores into it, but I'm pretty much at the point where I've got like 6 max out Ultimo weapons, so the only ones I don't have are kind of like the oddity ones that you don't use very much. So my thought is rather than max out a 7th one, I'm just going to get 1 copy of each of the oddball ones. That way I'll have like a thrown weapon one, I'll have a whip one, I'll have a bow one, because even like at 0 sublimate, they're still better than like green BTs. So I think at this point, being a veteran player and having so many maxed out ones, I'm just going to invest and get 1 of each. And then after that, I'll focus on like maxing out my 7th one at that point, right? But the Ultima cores are coming really slow these days. So I'm good. And the nice thing is we get our monthly reset. So if I wanted to say, if I really wanted to max out whip, I could trade in a different one for a whip if I really wanted to. All right, so enough about that. Let's hop into the showcase. So what I'm riding for a team here is we're going to do Pinello because I want force charging. And Pinello's just busted. And then we're going to bring Garnet, just to have another Echo character beside her, so that we can maybe echo her force and see how well it works with another character, things like that, right? So let's go ahead and hop in. I'm not really too concerned with a friend unit here, so we'll just skip through that and we'll hop in. All right, so 7 is a character that you do have to really pay attention to what's going on, because once again, everything is centralized around the snakebite debuff. So basically, you want to think of 7 as like a single target specialist. So if you have multiple enemies and you're trying to keep the HP even, always have 7 attack the snakebite one and let the rest of your party focus on the other one to try to keep the enemies even if that's what you're doing, right? So what I'm going to recommend is she's got a couple of ways to apply snakebite, but it is a stacking debuff. So what I recommend is using the LD right away, which is diving strike. This is going to apply snakebite at max stacks, which is 3. So we are going to hit enemy A, and 7 is going to focus on enemy A. So let's hit that. You'll see we did get weakness damage, and let's see what the damage looks like here. Okay, yeah, we got a mill on the enemy, right? So that's good damage, right? A mill is good for an LD. So what this did is it did the big HP attack with some splash on it. So once again, we got about a mill. It is a free turn immediately after. It did apply 3 stacks of snakebite on that enemy. So notice it's like the gold. It's not a gold debuff, but it's a debuff with gold lettering. So anytime you see gold lettering, it means it's a stacking buff or debuff that is at max stacks. So what the snakebite debuff does, it's just a defense down. It's really what it is. And the more stacks, the better the defense is. But the real big thing that comes from it is how it enables the rest of her kit. So we'll talk about that as we go through. So now what I'm going to do is let's hit Elemental Lash. The other thing after the LD is you do get access to Bondage Whip. I'm going to do Elemental Lash first, and then we'll do Bondage Whip after that. I'm actually kind of tempted to like Luna Fray and take a few turns, but we won't do that. So let's go ahead and hit Elemental Lash here. And let's see what the damage looks like on this. Once again, you really want to target the snakebite enemy with this. Yeah, so about a mill on a button press, right? So on a mill's good damage from just a 15 or 35. So this is competitive damage. It is good damage. So this Elemental Lash is a single target, and it is fire, ice, and lightning all in one attack. And the reason why you want to attack the snakebite enemy is it'll execute twice. So had we attacked the non-snakebite one, it only would have been like 500k damage, which is actually not that great. But getting 1 mil damage on the 35 is actually very good. Gives herself an attack up, and it does put a speed down on the enemies. So Garnet, let's just do Garnet setup here. I always like to be an Aquamarine stance because I like the Brave gains. We'll do that, and then sure, let's hit Garnet's AA. And then with Pinello, I'm probably going to ramp quite a bit. I may just ramp. I think I'm just going to ramp all the way. Well, I kind of want to see a few more attacks with regular damage before I see boosted damage. So maybe I won't ramp a ton yet. We'll ramp maybe part way until we can get a couple more attacks in with 7. Because I kind of want to see what the EX does outside of Force Time, just in terms of damage. Okay. Also keep in mind her 15 and 35 have high turn rate. So she can jump turns when she attacks. And we'll check it and see on my next turn here if that actually happens. I've talked about this before in other videos, but I know not everybody has seen like every video I've done, right? So I'm going to give you guys a really good tip. There's something that players don't always realize. I talked about it. I might have put it in my 15 tips and tricks videos. I probably put it in my beginner guide, but there's just so many like nuances to the game that they don't necessarily teach you about that I'm going to show you here when we're talking about high turn rate, right? We'll just do a little bit. All right, that's probably good enough for now. Oh, I guess we'll take the intercession, sure. All right, and then we'll pass Pinello turn and get to another 7 turn. Once again, I'm not worried about stacking all the way yet. Sure, let's do Evanescence. That's fine. And we'll see if 7 happens to jump turns here so I can, like, explain it. And if she doesn't, I'll still explain, like, kind of what I'm looking at. But we'll do Snakebite and Lash next. Or actually, no, we should do Bondage Whip, huh? Okay. Let me see. Does Bondage Whip jump turns? It does not. Okay, so one thing I want to show you guys, if you want to see where a character's turn is going to end up, you click and hold on a skill. So let's say I click and hold on Snakebite and Lash. I click and hold, and notice in the bottom left how there's the turn order, and you see the little arrow like bouncing up and down on 7's head. It's showing you that her turn is going to stay right where it is showing you. But sometimes characters will jump turns if it's a high turn rate attack, and they will actually move up. So if you want to know for sure where a character is going to sit after the attack, you want to click and hold on that button. So since we haven't done it yet, let's do Bondage Whip because we should get that up early, right? So let's hit that. Okay, and then right there, yeah, and then we got that follow-up as well. All right, so what Bondage Whip is going to do is, so basically the attack itself did that little HP attack. It does weakness damage versus Snakebite targets. She gets a free ability use on her next turn, and it reverts. So it's like you use Bondage Whip once, okay? But then she gets the Bondage Whip buff for 8 turns. And so what the Bondage Whip buff is going to do is enemies are going to be attack down 40% and speed down 10. And then party's going to get a brave damage up, which is very good. And then the Bondage Whip follow-up attack will trigger after anyone's turn. So we're going to see, like, so this actually is kind of useful right now, right? Because we know that off-turn is very useful during FR. Well, this is the first, like, kind of off-turn scaling FR damage we're going to get of an Echo character. Technically, Garnet is, like, off-turn, but it's, like, once every 4 turns. Still very, very good. But this is, like, in every action kind of abusable kind of trap that is going to scale, which is very, very good, right? So let's go ahead and we'll see how it's looking, right? So Garnet, let's just do Aquamarine, and we should see the Bondage Whip take effect here. Yep, right here. So that was what? So it was only like 52k. It's not like the craziest damage that we saw there, and it does just directly scale off of her attack. The thing is even though that damage is kind of low, it's happening after every action, and it does not subtract from the... It doesn't subtract from the buff count anytime it triggers. So if you run like a fast turn steal, or like you put Terra in front of her, that's just extra damage added on to everything Terra's doing. And scaling with the force time, that's actually going to end up being like really good, insane damage. We potentially could demo that with Pinello as well, right? So like right here, if I'm like going to ramp, right? So I could ramp, it should just be after an action. Yeah, Bondage Whip is just free. So even though the damage isn't that much, in a force time, it's going to get crazy. Let's do Intercession. So I do like that, especially with how abusable that can be. And then Garnet's putting up really big numbers on her off turn, though. Yeah, 600k. A lot better than 50. It's just that hers triggers every 4 turns. Okay. So sure, let's take us into force mode here. Yeah, 7's still a little ways away from her EX, so we'll just get the EX during force time. That's fine. Sure, we'll pop this. Okay, oh, we're there already. I went a little bit too far. But yeah, just abusing the Bondage Whip's pretty nice. And so really... all you're really doing with the LD, so you want to use it initially to get that Snakebite max just on there. But then what I would say is you don't really need to use the LD. The only way you'd want to use it is if you want to change targets and like put Snakebite on the other one at max stacks, or just to refresh and get the Bondage Whip back is really what you'd want to do. So let's go ahead, and Pinello's going to get the BT effect here. Sure, let's do it. And then we're going to go into 7FR. Once again, we are going to target the Snakebite enemy constantly. We do still need to do 7's 15 attack, by the way, but we'll get there. All right. Now, I'll just say that I think 7's FR is a lot more valuable as just an echo use than it is for the actual, like, FR time. And you'll see why in a minute here. But once again, we got to target the Snakebite enemy. And then, yeah, let's go ahead. I guess we can do the AA for fun, sure, because we got a free skill use. Let's do it. And then what I might do is I might just pop Luna Freya here just so I can get a couple of uses in a row. Actually, no, our buff slots are full. Luna Freya won't do anything for me. Too many buffs on this team with Garnet and Pinello. So sure, let's just pop the FR. This is called Exploit Weakness. We're going to attack the Snakebite enemy. We're pairing up with Lewd here. All right. Let's see what the damage on this looks like. Whoa, 3.5 mil. That's a pretty healthy number from an FR tech. So what that tells me is her FR Echo is going to be very strong. The fact she did 3.5 mil there without a multiplier, that tells me she's an Echo you could pop like really late in an FR at like 700 or 800%, and that's going to do a ton of damage. That's going to be like a nuke attack. So right now I'm seeing value in that FR. Very good, right? Now let's talk about the FR condition. So, oh, and the other thing is the FR does put Bondage Whip on, so you could use that like when you don't have the Bondage Whip up. So that's a really nice quick way to get it. Also, it is going to put Snakebite at max stacks on the target as well. So that is another instance where you could attack the other enemy if you wanted to, right? And then the HP conditions. So as long as the target has Snakebite, it's plus 15% per stack. So provided that they are at max stacks, which is 3, you're going to get 45% just for the target having Snakebite. So right there, that's valuable because obviously if you're using 7's FR, she's in the party, which means somebody's going to have Snakebite. This means this is like a free 45% that any character can access as long as you're targeting the Snakebite enemy, okay? And then if you do a single target attack, it's another 30%. So what, that's 75% that basically any single target that is attacking the Snakebite will hit it. So like Tifa would hit that, right? Like really easily. Now this is the reason why I don't necessarily like her FR as the main one. Even though those are good numbers, it's easy to get. It's very single target oriented, which means you have to like basically pound everything into one enemy. And then you can't keep the enemy's balance, which depending on the fight, that might not be a big deal. But I'm a player that I like to keep my enemies balanced. But in this instance now, we always want to attack the Snakebite enemy. So let's have Garnet. Sure, we'll have Garnet Echo. Let's see how Garnet's Echo handles here. So we'll attack the Snakebite enemy, which should give us 45% because the stacks are there. Now, this is not single target. I believe Garnet's all AoE. So I don't think we're going to get the 30%, but we should at least get 45 here. Oh, but we should get 20 for the... So I'm thinking 65. That's going to be my guess. Let's see what happens here. Or in that range. Yeah, 68. So that's exactly what I was thinking. So what we got was we got 45 for meeting the condition of attacking Snakebite. And then FR Echo by default just gives you 20 if it doesn't attack. So that's why we got, basically it's 65, but it goes to 68. Because there's always like a weird 3 to 5% extra that just comes in. And I think that's from the force enhancements, right? Okay. So now you can see we did the FR. The gauge is still at 10. We could do like Fatal Dance, like Pinello is all AoE. So let me just try. What happens if I do like a Haste Rumba? What are we going to get on that? Okay, 55. That's decent. And then the Snakebite should be popping off as well. Yep, the Bondage Whips. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and, I mean, sure, let's do a Fatal Dance. Don't want to wipe these enemies off the face of the earth too quickly, but you know. Alright, so 80%. That's pretty good. And then, yeah, 75k. So once again, the Bondage Whips, they're low damage, but they are scaling, which is good. And sure, let's do another FR Echo and not eat up a turn count. That sounds good to me. Alright, hopefully these enemies don't do anything too troublesome here. And then we can actually do 7's Echo and kind of see what the damage looks like. So there's 6.5 mil AoE. I am really curious to see what 7's like single target Echo is going to do. I'm going to try to save it for a little bit longer here. I will admit though, I kind of wish the Bondage Whip was a little stronger. Because like we're at like 300 something percent and we're still not hitting like 100k AoE. It seems kind of weak actually. But it's something, right? Alright, so let's do the EX, which is Sadistic Spikes. So let's just pop it and see what the damage looks like here. Alright, yeah, 4 mil AoE. Once again, we're in the middle of a force though, and then we got that. Alright, so the EX, so it does basically the big HP attack you saw with some splash on it. It does weakness damage, recovers 1 use of Snakebite and Lash, which is the 15, and then it just applies 3 turns of like a maxed out Snakebite. So that is another option you have to like reapply the Snakebite to somebody else. Now, this enemy on the right is like actually pretty close to dying. Like we're getting through this quite handily actually. Sure, let's just Fatal Dance here. Sure, why not? Let's just go crazy. That was pretty good. Okay. Let's see here. So then I don't want to go, let's just Aquamarine. I feel like we're going like really crazy here. But these are pretty easy, like 50%, because we're not even running single target, right? So if you actually run single target, like everybody's getting good percentages. So I do see 7 like as someone who can operate kind of well, right? Okay, just because I want to see it, let's see at 600% what her FR Echo will do here. This should kill the enemy on the right. So let's just try it. This should be like really huge damage because we did 3 mil without FR at all. I mean, this is like a single target nuke. Dude, 21 mil. Yeah, her FR is powerful, you guys. So, like I said, I think there is value to her right now because that's a very strong Echo. That's like an Enacro nuke type of Echo you got there, while getting percentage, while not, you know, lowering the turn count. It's very good. I feel like if I Fatal Dance, the enemy's gonna die, and I kind of need to get another turn. I guess I'm gonna, well, Intercession, I'm gonna Brave Attack. I know this seems crazy, but like the enemy is literally going to die if I if I Fatal Dance there. Garnet, I think I'm safe to do an attack here. Sure, let's just Aquamarine with a little bit of a weaker attack. And then I guess we'll let 7 finish up with the 35. Like, I haven't done the 15 CP attack yet. So I guess we got to do that to show it. But this enemy is about to pop. Actually, we can finish on... Well, we don't have buff slots. I was going to do Luna Frey again, but we don't have buff slots. Let's do Snakebite and Lash. Because we do need to reapply Snakebite anyways, right? Which is what it does. Alright, 7 mil on the 15. Pretty good. And then... Yeah, pretty decent damage there on the Bondage Whip, sure. Yeah, just, it's like 200k, like, it's okay. But I do like the big single target nuke damage. So Snakebite and Lash just did the attack you saw there, does weakness damage, gives herself a max brave up, and then applies Snakebite to the target, but it's only like 1 stack, right? So realistically, you use the LD initially, you get the 3 stacks right away, and then if you need to swap targets, like, you can instantly get it back with the FR or EX if you want to. But overall, guys, I would say I was pretty impressed. I actually really like her. Especially in like a single target fight, which I'm going to assume her Shinryu's probably a single target fight. Might not be, but even in a 2 target fight, I don't think it's a huge problem because you're doing such heavy, like we've seen with Tifa, right? A very single target centric character. And Tifa's been great. People love Tifa. I kind of think of this as like another version of Tifa. That being said, Tifa's getting her Echo soon, so would very quickly outclass 7. But I like it for having like another early Echo option. Like I said, I think her Echo is going to be a really good one to use late. You saw we did 21 mil, and we definitely could have stacked that percentage higher. Maybe be hitting like 30 mil with that thing. Like, that's a really good Echo to hit. So imagine we're in like a Penelo force. So here's what I'm probably going to do, you guys. If her Shinryu will allow it, I don't know what the fight looks like. But I think I'm going to like run Penelo as the main force, because I really do, and I want to emphasize this. Penelo's force is working just swimmingly in Echo. If you guys didn't see my 410 mil burst phase video, please feel free to check that one out. But I think Penelo is actually going to be my main force. And then I think I'm going to Echo with 7, and I'm going to save him late and do like 20, 30 mil Echoes. It's going to be ridiculous. So anyways, guys, let me know what y'all think of 7. I think she's actually pretty good. Definitely not a must pull, but I was definitely pleased with her. So let me know what y'all think. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.